Welcome everyone. We are getting started. Welcome. How is everybody doing tonight, this afternoon, this morning, in the middle of the night, wherever you are in the world? It's so good to see you. I'm so happy all of you all are on. I'm going to start out a little bit differently. Usually I would love to see wherever you are in the world. Let me know in chat, and I would love to get back to that. But I want to kind of honor your click. I want to honor your time, your interest, your curiosity. I know that I probably, this feels a bit clickbaity to some of you. So in respect of that, I wanted to kind of give you the thesis of this live stream kind of off the, right from the start. So here it is. You will not be able to fully explore entire planets in Starfield every time you land. That's my theory. You will not be able to fully explore entire planets in Starfield every time you land. And that may be confusing, that you may be like, oh yeah, absolutely, I knew that from the start. But this goes a little bit deeper, and so I'm going to expound upon this. I got some videos pulled up, some evidence, if you will, and I kind of have a script as well. I was going to make this into one of my typical scripted videos, but I thought this is a really interesting thought and theory, and maybe even a bit controversial, and so I thought this might be fun to try something new with the community, with all of you, and just kind of see how it lands. And so I'm going to kind of stick to my script. So I apologize if I'm not quite as engaged as I usually am. But again, I don't want this to be clickbaity. So let me just kind of read this script, and I'm going to get back to the chat, I promise. Real quick, let's do just a little bit of audio testing. I want to make sure I don't get into a crazy loop or anything. So I'm going to play just a second of my first, just a few seconds here. Let me know if you can still hear me and the audio from this clip. Let me know if it's looping or doing anything crazy.
You can land in New Atlantis, but you can also land and explore
How is that sounding?
anywhere on the planet.
I'm going to pause for just a second. Are you hearing the video? Are you hearing me okay? Anything echoing? I'm going to wait just a moment to get some feedback from you guys. Perfect. More volume maybe. Audio's low. I can pump the volume up. Okay, awesome. Thank you for the feedback. All right, let's get started because I know you're all here for the bait. You're all here for the bait. All right. Okay. So this is how scripted I am in my. So I'm just gonna read from the script, and let me see if I can mute those notifications. I may not be able to. I apologize if those are coming through too loud. Okay, I think I did it. Thank you guys for your patience. All right, here we go. So, like I said, this is going to start off a little bit differently, and I don't want to be accused of clickbait. I genuinely am disappointed. That's not like, hey, this is crazy or this is insane. That is my genuine, authentic emotion that I'm having. I'm disappointed in this, and I wanted to talk about it. But at the same time, even though I'm disappointed, I'm working through it. I think that I'll be able to get over it. I'm working through this, and it's starting to kind of make sense in my mind why, if this is true, why they would make these decisions. Okay, so if you've watched my channel any amount of time, if you're new here, thank you for tuning in. But if you've watched my channel, you know that I typically am very positive, very encouraging, very excited, and I still am. I am super excited for this game, and this is not, it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not. But it could be for some. It could be a deal breaker for some gamers. And again, I'll go through all this and I'll present the evidence, but I kind of wanted just to give an overview of where we're at and what my thought process is. And then just to kind of, if you only have a few minutes tonight, you'll kind of know what this video is about, and then you can come back to it if you want to. If you've got to have dinner or spend time with the family, I get it. But this could be a deal breaker for some people. So I thought this needs to be out there, at least in the greater conversation about Starfield, right? Because I haven't seen anybody else talking about this yet. They could be. I haven't seen it. And this kind of all coalesced and came together, assimilated, after I saw the kind of funny interview with Todd Howard. It was a great interview, said a lot of great and exciting things, but this one thing kind of made a lot of my other suspicions fall into place. So from what I've seen from all of the Starfield promotional material and interviews, I've come to the conclusion that Starfield will not allow you to explore planets every time you land on them. Fully explore planets every time you land on them. And to be honest, I hope I'm wrong. But I wanted to at least walk you through my thought process and highlight a few different pieces of evidence that I've assimilated into this conclusion. And so to give you all, I'm going to move this back to my big screen here. We'll get back to that video here in just a moment. To give you all the evidence up front, here is what's leading me to this conclusion, and then we'll spend the rest of the video breaking it down. So again, if you only have a few minutes, stick with me for just like maybe a minute and a half, something like that, and you'll get the gist of it. Todd Howard, and I'll actually play these clips later, but right now I'm just going to kind of vomit them out to you. That's not a good way to say it. Anyway, I'm going to give these to you. Todd said in his interview with Kind of Funny Games around the 19-minute mark, it's an exploration different than we've had, where you're landing, you're exploring around that landing spot, and then you're probably going somewhere else. That was the first quote. He later revealed that there would be no land vehicles or mounts around the 23-minute, 30-second mark, and that he added that they designed exploration to feel good on foot. Another key takeaway there. And then there are several other instances where Todd talks about building the planets with these tiles of handcrafted terrain, but allowing their system to procedurally stitch them around the planet. And specifically, when referring to this in the direct event, the lead technical producer says, we stitched together a block of terrain. Again, kind of using terminology that is limiting as opposed to holistically inclusive. Along with some other comments made in the Kind of Funny XCast interview, I think all of these points point to exploration looking like a limited area of planet that's generated. You'll be able to explore that limited area, which could be 1 square kilometer, could be 2 square kilometers, 3, 4, 5, 10, we don't know. And that will vary depending on which planet and which system you're on. But within that limited area, there will be various amounts of handcrafted and procedural content, But once you find everything in that limited area, it may be a lot, maybe little, you do have to get back into your ship, launch back into space, and choose a new landing zone where the system will then generate a new but still limited area for you to explore with new handcrafted and procedural content. First, I think that this is important to talk about because, like I mentioned earlier, I think a lot of people like me just assumed that once you landed on a planet, you would be able to fully explore it, right? Start at our ship, get out, head north, and just keep walking or keep jumping or keep, boost packing, whatever. And eventually you're going to circumnavigate that planet or that moon or that whatever you're on and eventually get back to your ship. Now, I didn't think that this, got lost. I didn't think that this entire planet would be full of interesting and engaging or handcrafted content, but I did expect procedural content would be allocated throughout the planet's terrain in various densities and frequencies. One of the reasons I had this assumption was from the way that Todd Howard presented the planets and systems at the Starfield Showcase back in June of 2022. And that's this first one I'm going to play for you. So let's get our screen up. And I'll get back there. It was right at, here we go. Good, everything's still looking good, great.
Let's take a look at one of our planets, Jemison. You can land into Atlantis, but you can also land and explore anywhere on the planet. And it's not just this planet, it's all the planets in the system. From barren but resource-heavy ice balls to Goldilocks planets with life. And not just this system, but over 100 systems. Over 1,000 planets, all open for you to explore. We can't wait.
Okay, so that is the first video we had. That phrase that you can land and explore anywhere on the planet, and then he followed it up with over 1,000 planets all open for you to explore. That language, it definitely lends itself to the idea that you can land anywhere on the planet, but then you can also explore anywhere as far away from a landing zone as you want. That's really what that language tells me. Again, in the IGN interview with Ryan McCaffrey that followed up the Starfield Direct event just a couple weeks ago, as of the time of this recording, June 11th, Todd Howard said a couple of things there. Let me get that one queued up. Here we go.
Sometimes is how I'd say it. But it is true to the vision we had for our type of role-playing game set in space and where your mind kind of goes. And we want to, as much as possible, say yes to the player. Like, can I do this? Can I do this? Yes, 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 yes. And space is big. So the amount of content that we ended up making to have that really feel authentic to that.
Okay. So again, he's using language that says like, hey, we want to say yes to the player. We want to build a lot of content. We want you to be able to go out and explore and just, take it all in. The next one kind of reinforces that. He's talking about games that he likes to play and games that they're trying to take inspiration from for Starfield. And I thought this was a particularly interesting quote.
And all of that. So for me, it's games that where I feel I am rooted in the reality of this universe of the game, and everything else kind of disappears.
So again, from saying yes to the player to, he wants to be rooted in, he wants you, the player, to be rooted in the reality of this game, and everything else just disappears. All of this together points to us having freedom to kind of explore wherever we want to go, right, in this space exploration game. One more from this interview, and then we'll move on. Let's see, at 1850, he talks a little bit about specifically the procedural generation of the planets.
1,000 planets number is the big one that you've been throwing out. What's the ratio of the like procedurally generated stuff to the handcrafted stuff?
Well, the planets themselves, the landscapes, pretty much all procedural. We kind of make these large, think like kilometer-sized tiles we've generated, and those get kind of wrapped around the planet. As far as handcrafted content, more than any game we've done.
So he talks about these tiles that they've developed, handcrafted tiles, but then the procedural generation is how that system kind of puts all of these different tiles together and makes what you see, what you play on, the terrain that you're actually exploring. I think he used the same phrase in his Lex Friedman interview from October of 2022. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he described it similarly there. So all of this supports the assumption that the system will generate a planet, and then that's your planet, right? You have the freedom to go anywhere you want to once you land on it, and there may be some handcrafted content, there may be some procedural generated content, there may be not much content at all. He's been pretty upfront with that from the get-go, pretty much. But you would be able to explore the whole planet, go north, south, west, wherever, and you can keep going, and there will be something there, or there may not be anything, but you'll be able to go there. Now, this kind of brings me to the evidence that starts to make me challenge these assumptions. In the Starfield Direct, one of the producers spoke to the planet generating system, and he said this. Let me cue this up.
I think what's cool about this whole system that we generate the planet itself as a procedural content, but the handcrafted content itself comes as the player explore. Our system builds a planet as the player approaches it. We stitch together a block of terrain. After that, we have the system that adds interesting locations for the player to explore, creatures to encounter, ore and plants to pick up. It allows us to add that touch of environmental storytelling that Bethesda is known for.
Aggressive creatures have been...
Okay. So this was a key moment as well for me. It was enough to kind of make me perk up during the direct, be like, oh, that's different than I thought. This is Jean-Francois Levesque. Excuse my pronunciation. I'm not very good with my French. He says that we generate the planet itself as procedural content, the terrain, but the handcrafted content comes as the player explores. Our system builds the planet as the player approaches it. So, assumedly, in that loading cycle, that loading screen between space and planet, and we stitch together a block of terrain. After that, we have the system that adds in interesting locations for the player to explore, creatures to encounter, ore and plants to pick up. It allows us to add that touch of environmental storytelling that Bethesda is known for. So, like I said, originally, I'd assumed that all of the planets were procedurally generated on kind of in the back end, like it within the game, in the studio as they're making the game. But this confirms that the procedural generation of the planets are actually done on the player's end, and kind of the front end, if you will, generating new and unique content for that player's individual experience. So that's a big change then from what I had assumed, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And then he added, we stitched together a block of terrain, and after that, the system adds in the interesting handcrafted content for the player. So that phrase, a block of terrain, that to me means a limited area of 4 of these tiles, 9 of these tiles, 16 of these tiles, who knows, these 1 square kilometer tiles, they put together this block of terrain, probably based on the planet, whether it has life on it, which, depending on how many biomes it needs to have on it. But they have this block of terrain in this limited area, not the entire planet. I think that's, again, key here. Furthermore, let's get into the Kind of Funny Games XCast interview. And again, it was a great interview. Let's listen to what Todd says first, the first thing I want to kind of tease out. You guys are still with me. That's awesome. All right, here we go.
We hope everybody enjoys it for what it is, but it is an exploration different than we've had, where you're landing, you're exploring around that landing spot, and then you're probably going somewhere else.
So, like I mentioned at the beginning, this was really important. He says it's an exploration different than we've had, where you're landing, you're exploring around that landing spot, and then you're probably getting back up in your ship and going somewhere else, even if it's on that planet. That again points to my conclusion that they're not going to continually be generating handcrafted or procedural content for you as you're exploring. So even if you get to the edge of the handcrafted or the procedural content, they're not going to allow you to keep going from that landing spot in a meaningful and engaging way. And I have a few thoughts on what that might be a little bit later. Todd even clarifies a little bit later that he doesn't want to make things too gamey. Let me play that clip for you now.
So it's a difficult design thing. If you add too many things, if it's generating too many abandoned bases or towers or things to find, it starts feeling too gamey in some of those locations. So I think we've dialed that in pretty well, depending on the planet that you're on. And so...
Okay, so there he clarifies that they don't want to make things too gamey. At about 1853, he says that if you add too many bases or towers to, things to find, think of like, an Ubisoft game. It's very gamified, right? Find this tower, climb that tower, open up the map, find these 3, checkpoints. It starts to feel too gamey. And they said they've dialed that in depending on what planet you're on. And then it again suggests that we're not going to be able to continually walk or run or boost pack or whatever around a planet and just kind of find interesting things popping up or being served to us on a platter. And the thing that really made all of these suspicions kind of coalesce is that you won't endlessly be able to explore planets from one landing zone. And it's when he said this. Get back to the screen present. Sorry about that. Here we go. Last one here.
One of the most asked questions was, Todd, we land on these planets and people are blown away by the size and the scope of things. Is there a land vehicle or an option to maybe mount some of these wildlife creatures to use as a land transportation mode of transport?
There is not. We do design it. I think when we've seen this with our other games where we want to design it so it feels good on foot, but we do have the boost pack. You saw some of that in the video, and you have skills for the boost pack. So the boost pack almost acts like this vehicle. It's super fun where you can fly through, and then the low gravity planets are just really, really something special.
Okay, so here he confirms no vehicles, right? No vehicles, no mounts, no assisted traversal. It's because you don't need them. That's what I think. It's because you don't need them in the game. To further solidify this conclusion, he said that they try to design their exploration to feel good on foot, meaning that there won't ever be these huge, big, vast distances that you have to traverse in between engaging locations from one cave to an outpost where you're trying to help people, do their quest. And so all of this together, all of these things are why I have this crazy idea and fear and disappointment as to why I believe you will not be able to fully explore Starfield planets each time you land on them. They will be limited to an individual limited area landing zone, and that may differ in size depending on different planets, which quest you're on, how many biomes they design that specific planet to have. So that'll be different. So I'm not saying they're all going to be small. They may be huge. They may be massive. There may be some planets out there as big as our the land we have to explore in Elder Scrolls Skyrim or Fallout. They may make them huge, but there's still a limited area. So I want to hear your feedback now, and I'm going to take a moment and kind of shut up here in a second, look through chat, get some of what you guys are thinking. I've already seen some super chats in there. Thank you guys. I'll get to you, I promise. And I want you to tell me, hey, I'm crazy, this doesn't make any sense, or say, hey, you're onto something, I didn't even realize these, or I didn't put all this together the way you did, the way your weird mind works. Or tell me that you already knew this. Hey, yeah, this is obvious. Like, you're way late to the party. This is weird. You're doing a whole live stream on this. I'll take it all. I'm totally up for critique. But before I dive into chat, I just wanted to give this caveat to the whole situation. As I mentioned before, at the very start of this, I truly am disappointed in this. At the same time, like, I'm working through it. Like I said, I'm working through it. I'm disappointed I won't have the freedom to fully explore a planet without having to hop back into the spaceship, go back up into orbit, pick another spot on the planet, come back down, let it load in again. It just feels a bit clumsy. At the same time, I get it, right? Practically speaking, I think there will be very, very, very few times that this would actually matter, that this, anybody would even notice this as something that isn't included in the game. And kind of the second thing is that I trust, this sounds weird, a lot of you give me flack on this, but I trust the development team at Bethesda to intentionally design this in a way that makes it make sense and it makes it feel good. Maybe this is a concession that they had to make with hardware, or getting it running on PC and Xbox or Series S, or to be able to stream on the cloud, right? They're kind of a part of a whole ecosystem now. Maybe this is a concession they had to make for the ability to save all this data or stream all of it once you start to generate all of these planets. You're in your late game. But whatever design concessions they made, I really am. I'm not just saying this. I'm not just, a big shill or anything. I genuinely do trust them, and I'm confident that if they had to make this concession, that within that design choice, they also were thoughtful about the player's experience in it, not just being mindful of the hardware or software limitations. I really do think that they came at this with the player's experience in mind. It's just not the one I was expecting. And I think that, everybody deserves to know kind of, not necessarily what everything is in the game, but a game about exploration. If there's a big concession made in that exploration mechanic, I feel like everybody should know that, right? Because like I said, for me, it's honestly not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker. This isn't a huge thing, but I think for a lot of people it is. From what I've gathered in the comments section and talking to people on Discord, some people don't even like Bethesda quest lines. They just love to go in their worlds and explore. And if this is going to be kind of this choppy, okay, I got to go in, explore a little bit, then I got to go back out and kind of reload, it just seems a bit clumsy. It seems a bit obtuse. They may not like that. And for some people, that's a bigger deal. It's not to me, but for some people it could be. So I wanted to get this out there in the conversation. Talk about it in your Discord servers. Talk about it in your other channels. Let other people know this is at least a theory out there. I am hoping to get some clarification from Bethesda. Right before I started kind of putting this stream together, I reached out to a Bethesda community manager through their Discord, and one responded to me, and they said, hey, they were really nice. They said, hey, how can we help? What question do you have? And I told them this question, and they said, that's actually a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know if I'll even be able to help clarify that, but I will kind of add it to our list of facts and frequently asked questions and things that people are wondering about in the community. So even though I highly doubt that anything between now and September will be further clarified in like an interview or constellation questions or even a fact list updated on their website, it's nice to know that they at least responded and said, hey, we'll take your question. Thanks for being here. They were super nice about it. I really appreciate that. Okay, so that was my caveat. these are all my crazy thoughts. Let's see what you guys think. And then after we get through a little bit of chat, I did want to share some thoughts that my producer team had. I shared some of this with them because I didn't want to embarrass them on the stream. Say, hey, you guys are invested in the channel. I don't want to embarrass you. So let's see. Let's go up. I know we've had some super chats. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Let's see. We got over 700 people on the stream right now. That is awesome. Thank you guys for being here, spending a little bit of your evening with me. Let's see. Stitched together. Okay. Frank the Tank, I haven't seen you in a while, my friend. It is good to see you on here if you're still on the stream. You said that way back at the beginning. But it is great to see you. And I apologize. I have a gnat or a mosquito or something flying around my face, so if I seem distracted, that is what it is. Let me see if I can get to a few of your questions. And let's see, super chats first. Okay. Sorry, again, I'm like, you may see me like go to work on a mosquito here. Let's see. I'm looking for you. I'm sorry. Let's see. I'm getting top chat. Let me see if I can. Okay, Seth L said, question, why have the option to fast travel to your ship? Yeah, so that's a good question. I'm assuming you're meaning in the context of, hey, if you can be far enough away from your ship, why even give the option to fast travel to it? Great question, and I think that there will still be some large areas in here, right? I don't think they're going to make every planet super small. You'll be able to walk 5, 10, maybe even 15, solid minutes away from your ship and quest and have these big epic experiences. We've already seen a lot of that in the direct and in the trailers, right? There are some vast open spaces. They're still limited though. And so I think they give you that option to fast travel to your ship for those occasions where you're still in this vast area. And again, I'll go back to one of the caveats I said. Most people won't even notice this, right? They're going to design these landscapes and the procedural content and the handcrafted content to kind of funnel people into where they want them to go and where they want them to explore. It's just kind of for that very low percentage, 5, 9, 10, 12, I don't know, that small percentage of players that just want to explore every little corner. I think those are the people that this is going to affect the most. But great question, Seth. And I know there's some others. Let's see. I cannot find them right now. I'm so sorry. Let's see. Let me come back up here. Go over here. Okay. Seth also said, let's see. Let me start from the beginning. Looking for you. Breezy Ray said, super chat of $5. Thank you for the super chat. This will not be an open world game, more a game with many sandboxes. That's an interesting way to explain it, as opposed to one big sandbox, many sandboxes that you kind of have that you would use, maybe like your spaceship is the hub, and then you can kind of go out to any of these sandboxes you want to. That's an interesting way of thinking about that. I'll have to consider that. All right. Red Wolf said, hey, $10. Thank you so much, Red Wolf, for the super chat. Hey, Luke, I believe the reason they did this is to encourage exploration rather than having less to discover. Every other planet having life could be more discouraging when it comes to curiosity. Okay. So you're saying they don't want... I'm going to put words in your mouth. I guess I interpret this as you saying that they don't want to over-deliver on the meaningful, particularly meaningful or engaging content, so that when it does come along, it feels meaningful and special and like, oh, I found this, and it excites you. Clarify that in the chat for me. Let me know if I answer that exactly. 100% less is more. Gotcha. Almost got that mosquito. You guys are in for, this is always a show. We never know what's going to happen. Just don't want it to like bite me in the eyeball. Mox Opal, super chat of $5. Thank you, Mox. The way it's worded, it sounds like your base will despawn if you walk too far. Yeah, that was another thing we were talking about in our producer call earlier today, where, okay, so if you have all these things that are kind of generated and then they're regenerated every time you land, your base, your outposts that you make, I would assume that those will be, that those will last, right? That those will be evergreen, if you will. There's another word for that, persistent, that those will be persistent, meaning they're going to stay there whether you're there on the planet or not, or whether you generate another block of land tile somewhere else, your outpost is always going to be there. I think it will be. That would make sense, right? Because you're going to set up potentially these, they haven't used the term trade routes, but they said you can set up links between your outposts, cargo links, I think is what they said. So for your content, I really think it will stay. But for other procedurally generated content, will that stay? If let's say you land on point A, it generates a few things for you, some handcrafted, some procedural, and then you go off to point B, C, and D. If you come back to point A, will that still be there? It's not yours, it's not the outpost, but will that content that it's already generated be saved in the system? That's a question that I have as well. I don't know the answer to that, but good question, Mox. Seth said again, let's see, it doesn't feel like there's enough evidence one way or another. You could be right, but personally, I'm not convinced based on what's been presented. Okay, well, good. Well, I like I said, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm just reading too much into it. I hope that, some of the things that some of the evidence that I presented that, Todd would be like, oh, no, I didn't mean that when I said that. Or, how in the world could you take it that way? I would be super happy to be wrong. So I'm with you, Seth. I'm with you. But this is kind of where my mind went to with all of this stuff. Let's see, and okay, we already talked about that other one Seth did. I think there was a few more. Frank the Tank. Hey, you did come back, Frank. Good to see you here, man. Todd just let us know that POIs will be more than thousands of meters apart. So from their testing, it's going to be better to jump back in your ship, just like No Man's Sky. Let's be honest. Okay? So this is some new content or a new interview or something that just came out, I'm assuming, today that I did not see because I was working on all of this. Clarify that in the chat for me, Frank. Is this something new that just came out today or even yesterday? That places of interest will be more than 1,000 meters apart. And that's why it's good to jump back into your ship. See, with that, you would think that that would validate the need for some land vehicles as well. He did say it. Okay. And let's see. Hi123. Hi. Has super chatted $5. Thank you. Will the AI be able to take control of your ship in space, etc.? Will there be an option for creative mode? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by creative mode. If that is a Fallout thing, you have me at a disadvantage. I am not a huge Fallout fan. So feel free to clarify that. And other people may be able to answer that better in the chat as well, if you guys are familiar with that. But the first part, so will AI be able to take control of your ship in space? We haven't seen that yet, but we do know that your crew can, there's a lot of crew mechanics with your ship from what we know of, from weapons to navigation to lots of other things. So if this is kind of like like a cruise control or like a, hey, set your destination, but you don't want to go to it quite yet, you want to mess around on your ship or have conversations or invest in those romance options, I think that you will be able to do that, but I'm not exactly sure. But that would be cool. And Mandalore41 has super chatted $10. Thank you so much, Mandalore. I'm a huge fan of space exploration gameplay. Played both Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous for years. Very cool. If they don't do it, it's not disappointing at all because from experience in Elite, an entire planet is too much. Yes, I agree with you. Absolutely. That was going to be kind of another point I was playing around with, kind of putting in there. Sorry if I keep itching my arm, it's because that mosquito got me. It got me. Oh man. I'll get it one of these days. And so Elite Dangerous, I have maybe like 100 hours into Elite Dangerous, I believe, and I never once. I mean, the gameplay on planet surfaces is just horrendous. From my experience, I haven't played in several years. I think I really got into it back in maybe 2018 or 2019. I haven't played much since. But the planet traversal at that point was just horrendous. And so it really discouraged you from doing anything on your planet. But you could still like fly around in orbit and see if there was anything on the planet, but there never was. So I thought about making that comparison, but it was just such a weak comparison that it didn't really hold much water to this argument. But I think your point is well taken, that even if there were interesting things there, it's, a whole planet is just too much. I wouldn't even know, oh, hey, great, I'm glad I'm on this planet. I'm going to spend 20 hours on this one planet. They're probably not designing the game that way. So yeah, good point, Mandalore. Absolutely. Okay, I think we're all caught up on Super Chat. So let me come back through. I've seen a few familiar names, a few familiar faces, if you will, in the chat. Again, I'm like super glad that all of you are here. I'm going to take a quick break and just grab a drink of water. Feels like a commercial. Grab a drink of water and just take a quick break. I'll be right back, and we'll keep talking about what is going on in chat. All right. We are back. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Am I crazy? Let's see. We had some really good super chats. All right. Let's see. We're going to start. There they were. The tank. Good. I'm going to come back just a little bit and just kind of go through here. Hello. What is going on? I'm going to get just a little bit closer here so I can read. You know what? I may just going to bring this over here for now. Perfect. Actually, it looks a lot better. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Commander Dark Knight said, when was this confirmed that the planets are not whole? I've not seen this anywhere. Yeah, Commander Dark Knight, this is just some conclusions that I have drawn from a lot of different pieces of information. Depending on how long you've been a part of the stream, you've either heard some of that or none of it. But definitely go back and check the stream for kind of my full breakdown on why I think this. I hope I'm wrong. I have reached out to Bethesda and have asked this question. They said they couldn't answer that right now. So they may, if this video gets enough coverage, it's possible that that we may get an answer. That would be really cool. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I look foolish on this video within a week or a month or whatever. But this is what the information is telling me right now. Let's see. R said, I feel like the giant whole planet thing was unreasonable. This is Star Citizen. Right. It's a different kind of game. Draconi said, realistically, walking around Earth would take around 8,300 hours, says Google. So it wouldn't mess with my immersion, for sure. Just hope there isn't an invisible wall. Instead, they would keep loading new chunks. Right. So that was the other thing that I wanted to get to eventually after we read some more chats. What's the solution, right? Is it, if they're not going to if they're not going to procedurally generate the whole planet, what are they going to do? We'll get to that. Absolutely. Praise the Sun said it's going to be a whole planet, most likely, but separated into chunks. Okay. Team November, I was disappointed, but it's not a deal breaker. They should have told us a long time ago. I think so too. And again, I could be reading some things into this that are not there. I hope I'm wrong, but we will see. It would take 20 years to make a game with everyone's expectations. Yes, it would, Nikki T. Well stated. Let's see if I see anybody else familiar in here. Great to have all of our new people on here. Let's see. Brian Kelly. Brian, good to see you on here. I think you can explore. It just will not be practical with just jetpacking, but not a big deal to me either way. Right. Did I get it? Oh, almost got the mosquito. I always see it like in the corner of my eye. All right. Praise the Sun said, you probably get to the edge of a zone, then your ship flies over to you. That would be interesting. That would make it feel a little less crazy, like, hey, we need to go somewhere. Apollo said, if this was the case, then they would have said something about it. I agree. I feel like they should have, but I kind of feel like they have said it just in some different ways. I'm not saying they've intentionally misled us. I think just a lot of people made some assumptions about some things that they never actually said. Yeah. Riser said, calm down. There will be mods for everything we want. It will be crazy. Yay. I guess that's what that emoji is. Sasha said, any Lost Star Citizen souls here? Yes. Let's see. Lots of people liking Seth's point of view. Awesome. See, Connor Stolen said, okay. So that's where I saw a clip in an interview where Todd says you can walk around an entire planet, just he doesn't recommend it. And even if you're right, I don't see any problem with it. Yeah, for sure. I haven't seen that clip. I tried to, scour everything I could. And it's possible that, if this theory is true, that it was maybe a late game decision, right? That maybe they intended for the whole planet to be generated at once, and then kind of working with the technology and working with the hardware, they decided this was a better way to do it. It's very possible. Let's see, this isn't, Anthony Elliott said this isn't 100% one thing the French guy said was that the content is generated around the player. They have also spoke about fast traveling to your ship. Have been fearing this too, though. Okay. Another thing that kind of gave me a bit of confidence, I don't know, a bit of affirmation, I guess, was that in the official Bethesda Discord today, there were a few people talking about this, and a few people asking the same questions that I was, and kind of wondering the same things. So that gave me a bit of affirmation that, hey, this isn't way off in left field. This isn't absolutely crazy. There's at least 2 or 3 more people that are wondering the same thing. Let's see. Run and shoot. Mosquitoes are living creatures too. I suppose they are, unfortunately. Connor said again, and also you can fast travel to your ship and the marker appears in the orbit map. Okay. Xcomer ZZZ, one of our channel members, said at least they said planets will have different biomes, not like No Man's Sky where everything is the same. Yes, absolutely, and that's definitely a point I want to clarify. I think there are going to be some very large planets, some very large areas populated in these planets with some very significant and large biomes, especially ones that are associated with quest lines, right? So I think we're still in for a treat. We haven't even talked about the whole about 10% of planets will have life on them, right? That's probably coming in another video. All right, let's see here. Kalari said Lex Friedman interview at the 132nd mark. He says it would be the wrong tone to land in a very controlled small world space. that we kind of craft. Right. Yeah, I thought about that as well. And I feel like some of this, like I'm getting conflicting, conflicting messaging on. Or again, it's possible that they kind of had to make a late game decision with some of this. All right. History Grepnik said, go to the direct where they scan for resources, and I think you can see the delimited areas. That's my theory. Noticed it too during the direct. So you're maybe even theorizing that there are some areas of the planet that are kind of open and we can just go and explore, and there are others where they're more kind of this limited area, like around your landing zone type dynamic. Is that what I'm hearing you say? History. All right, let me go through these a little bit more, getting down to the bottom. Tactical Bacon said, yeah, I feel like the cities are the only places that landing there keeps you there to an extent. Everywhere else should be completely open. You're sure? I hope so. I hope I'm wrong. Again, I hope I look like a fool here in a few days or a few weeks or even a few hours if something else comes out. I would absolutely love that. Okay. Let's see if I can catch up on the chat here after hanging out for a bit. All right. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you said you think my main camera source may be off center a bit. You got a black bar on the right. Sure enough. How did that happen? Probably I was clicking around and accidentally dragged it somewhere. Thank you, Seth. I apologize about that, everyone. Hopefully it did not detract from the wonderful viewing experience you have with my southern charm tonight. All right. So, Sam, thank you so much. Anthony, thank you so much. 5840. What's he talking about, the Lex Friedman interview? Is that where he's talking about, landing in a controlled space would be a bad tone? All right, we will get back to the super chats here in just a minute, Jay Ramos. Thank you so much. Danila said yes. Okay, awesome. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Is definitely along with everything else, that is definitely something to consider. Let's see. All right.
And
okay. And this was the this isn't like a defense, but this was the only interview or piece of Starfield content that I did not go back and double check or triple check, just because it's so long, right? So let's see, 5840. Thank you guys. Let's pull it up just a second, and I will bring back my screen. This is what I love about our community. If you're new here, I am not the smartest person about Starfield. I will say that off the bat. I am not the cleverest. I am not the smartest. I am not the biggest Starfield fan. I just love Starfield, and I love what I get to do here on YouTube. And we have so many people that kind of make this channel a great place other than me. And so I am happy to take the L on this one. No pride on that at all. I'm not going to stand on a soapbox now, but there is a streamer that comes up in my feed more than I would like for them to, and they just love arguing with everybody. They just yell at the computer screen and argue, and I don't understand why people enjoy watching that. Anyway, I guess it's good to see people act like an idiot. I'm not trying to act like an idiot. I may have idiot ideas, but I'm open to learning. I'm open to critique. I'm open to feedback. And so that's how this channel rolls. Anyway, okay, let's play this.
Of that. Well, the first when we did it was, how are we going to render a planet, like pull it off for the player? Like, can we? Or do we have to sort of do it where you can't land on all of them, where you're landing in a very controlled, small world space that we, kind of craft, and you would have a very limited set of those. If you go back to tone, like, well, that's probably the wrong tone. And how can we say yes? Like, I want to land on that ice ball. So we started the game right after Fallout 4, so 2016.
I want to watch that
one. Star
again.
Control 2 was a game that I loved. Sundog was a big one in the Apple II days that a lot of people don't know that I loved. And so a lot of us in the studio felt it was time to do something new. We're going between Elder Scrolls and Fallout and going back and forth. And I mean, we love that. But hey, we've always wanted to do this explore the galaxy science fiction game. Now is the time to do that.
And that's a brave move. So Fallout is post-apocalyptic, many star systems, many planets. I saw that it's thinking about 100 star systems and 1,000 planets available to explore. What is that world of stars and planets like?
Well, you mentioned Daggerfall. We go back to some of that. Well, the first when we did it was, how are we going to render a planet, like pull it off for the player? Like, can we? Or do we have to sort of do it where you can't land on all of them, where you're landing in a very controlled, small world space that we, kind of craft, and you would have a very limited set of those. If you go back.
Okay, so I definitely see your argument there, and I can't even, I'm not even going to say that, oh, this doesn't mean what he's saying. I would love to take that as if he's saying, we don't want to create this small little environment on a planet. We want to create like full planets, right? I took what he was saying there as him saying, comparing like Mass Effect, right? So whenever you landed on a planet in Mass Effect, especially Mass Effect 1, there was just this one location. You landed on a planet, but it was just this one location that you had a few different things to play around with. I actually enjoyed Mass Effect 1, and I enjoyed that part of it because there was this, even though there wasn't a lot to find, I think what Red Wolf was saying earlier, because there wasn't a lot to find, whenever you found something, it made it feel a little more magical, a little more exciting. So anyway, that's what I kind of take him as saying here, that they didn't want to create just this one small location on this one planet that you could only go to that one small location. And that's not what I'm saying. In my argument, I'm saying that, okay, you go to this planet and you get this one, not even a small location, maybe one large location with lots of different things going on, but it's still a limited area. You still can't go over the whole planet, as opposed to being able to circumnavigate every single planet and go travel around the world as long and as far as you want to go.
To tone,
I'll
like,
keep
well, that's
playing.
probably the wrong tone. And how can we say yes? Like, I want to land on that ice ball. So we started the game right after Fallout 4, so 2016. And the first thing we did was, how can we have a system to generate these planets and make them look, I'll say reasonable, as opposed to, fractally goop.
Well, what's the technical definition of goop? Fractally goop.
Fractally goop. You've probably seen a lot of like simulations, whether they're space things or landscape things.
Okay, I think that's the gist there. But yes, good call. I will consider that, absolutely. And again, I'll say it again. I would love to be wrong. That doesn't quite make me feel like that's addressing this specific issue. And again, that was last October as opposed to, just a couple weeks ago. Yes, yeah, Mango 247, absolutely. Yeah, I am not. Maybe I'm doing a bad job of explaining myself. I am not. I'm not saying that we can't land anywhere. I'm saying that once you land in one spot, it doesn't seem like they're going to allow you to kind of go everywhere on the planet. You have to get back up in your ship, come back up into outer space, choose the other side, or 300 kilometers away or whatever, and then you kind of go back and you land there. That's what I'm saying. Anthony, where do I need to keep playing it to? What are we looking for? What are we looking for? So, well, I don't mind to play it. I just don't want a live stream of us just sitting here for another 2 hours, just looking at this. What are we looking for? 2 minutes more? What's the section? Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. I'll play it. All right. Okay.
Where they're using fractals and just the landscape does not look real. It just is like highs and lows and it's muddy. And so we did find a way. We came up with a way, had prototyped of building tiles, like large tiles of landscape, the way we would usually build them. We kind of generate them offline, hand do some things, and end up with these very realistic looking tiles of landscape, and then built a system that wraps those around a planet and blends them all together. And we had pretty successful results with that. And so we thought, we could do this. And so there was a big design kind of problem to solve in terms of, well, what's fun about landing on a planet where there's potentially nothing? Because there's a lot of planets and moons, if you kind of, right, in reality, that, well, there's nothing on them except resources. And so we spent a lot of time figuring out, okay, let's just lean in on that can be a lonely experience, as long as we tell the player, here's what's there, here are the resources that are there, go find them. But I equate it to that moment of we said about listening to the wind go and watching the sunset. And I do think there's a certain beauty to landing on a strange planet, being somewhat the only person there, building an outpost. And we are modeling all of the systems because that's how we like to do things. So you can watch whatever that gas giant or moon, it will rotate and go, and sunrise, sunset, and all of those things that you would expect. And it's all really happening. And most people probably won't notice or appreciate all of that, but I think it gives them the ability to say, I want to go do that and see that on that place, as long as we tell them, hey, the quest leads over here. Here's where the handcrafted content is that you would expect. And then here's more of the open procedural planet experience.
So your
long answer. I don't know if I answered your question.
There's no the questions are stupid and the answers are brilliant. So that's how this works. So this is the world's most immense simulator.
Okay. That's so weird. It muted me twice. That's so strange. Okay. Maybe it was like weird. Anyway. Okay, I'm on now. Woo, thank you guys for being patient with me. The kind of crap you guys put up with me. You all are awesome. All right. I would not be surprised if I was muted again. I don't know how that happened. All right. Yeah, that's a great interview. Absolutely. So, you're all kind of taken from that, right? That he's talking about the tiles that they generate, that they wrap around the planet, was kind of what you were wanting me to get from that, right? I'm on board with that. I know that, absolutely. Which again is why everything leading up to the direct and then that kind of funny video, I had thought from this content, from other content, excuse me, all of that again made me assume, like everyone here who's kind of relaxed, you made me look. All of that made me think that, yeah, we're going to get a whole procedurally generated planet, and we're just going to be able to land wherever we want to, right? Because that's what he said. And then we can go wherever we want to on that planet. That's what I had assumed. Absolutely. And so that's, again, why I was disappointed to hear these other things that are seemingly contradictory to that. And so I guess in my mind, I put more emphasis on the most recent statements and phrasing and the way they're kind of working around this as opposed to less recent. That doesn't mean that I'm right, though. I could very much be very wrong. Witchblade, I'm glad you made it over. I hope you didn't just get here because I've already gone through everything. All right. Danilo said they found a trick to save memory, so I don't think that we need to load other regions. Okay, so maybe this is their trick, is what you're referring. Okay, there have been a few super chats. I want to honor you guys for your contributions and your super chats. So let me get back here, and we'll get back into the chat. I think the last one I did was Mandalore. 30 minutes ago. We are still I'm still rambling on. You guys are just amazing. Let's see. Okay. And let's see. Next one up was Jay Rambles. Jay Rambles, good to see you, man. Saw you in Discord and glad to have you there. Super chatted. Hey, it's Jay from Discord. Did I get it? Oh, man. I have a mosquito flying around me and just chomping me up. I found the no vehicles rather disappointing, but not surprising due to the creation engine's limits. Sure, yeah, I was hoping that was one of those things that they had worked on with the creation engine. I mean, as we've already seen, the lighting looks incredible. The lighting looks absolutely incredible. Exterior lighting, that's a whole other video. The interior lighting, things look very, very flat, and I'm hoping that that's still something that they're tweaking and they're working on. But the exterior lighting, especially like during a sunset or a sunrise and long shadows and nice orange glow, it's looking so good. So good. Raven Blood super chatted $5. Thank you, Raven. What if they randomly generated a pirate base mine station on these desolate planets to keep players engaged? Absolutely. I think there will be some of that. I think there will be a lot of that, actually. And even in the kind of funny interview, they kind of straight up ask him, like, hey, we feel like side quests are kind of getting a little stale, like, hey, we're having some trouble with some creatures. Can you go kill 10 of these creatures and come back and I'll give you a new gun or a new whatever, or, hey, this pirate base is, these pirates built a base next door. Can you go, flush them out? And he just kind of, Todd straight up said, like, hey, we're going to have a lot of that. And so, pirates specifically, I don't know for sure, but I feel like that kind of, generation of quest and dynamic bases and dungeons or caves, there's going to be plenty of that in there for sure. Lots of subscribers. You guys are awesome for subscribing. Thank you so much. It's glad to have you on the Signal crew. Breezy Ray, again, super chatted. Todd states literally 3 minutes into the Starfield Direct how planets exploring work. Check it out. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got that. I'm not denying any of that. I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's see. Snake has super chatted 5R. I don't know what 5R is. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. Did he say that it just works? He should say it just works. He didn't say that this time. I don't think anyone said that this time. I think that's maybe a phrase that they have like up on a big whiteboard somewhere with like a big red X through it up at Bethesda headquarters. Like nothing just works anymore. We gotta put the work into this. All right, Seth super chatted a few minutes ago. Keep going on the Lex episode. Seth, I think I got through it enough of what we wanted. Let me know. Don't give me another super chat. I appreciate it, but I'll look for you in the chat. Let me know if I didn't get through it enough, and I'll be glad to tune that back up. Actually, let me just kind of come back to my live screen here. And then let's see. Okay, Mango. I want to make sure Seth got his stuff in. And then Halfway Nuts. I'm halfway there with you. I super chatted $9. Thank you so much, Halfway. He says, I can take a bunch of empty planets as long as the ones that are not empty have a lot going on. I mean, a lot. I got you. So you're just wanting, you're wanting when it's raining, you want it to be pouring kind of thing. I got you. And I think there's going to be a good variety of that. And that's what I've gathered from the different interviews and the Starfield Direct and everything. There's going to be a variety. There are going to be some planets where there's only a singular biome. It's going to be an ice planet, or it's going to be, just a resource planet with iron or rock or whatever. And then there are going to be some that have life, right? That 10% of planets that have life. And I'm assuming that means vegetation as well. So vegetation, flora, fauna, potentially other, cultures and civilizations that have, set up there, that have, I forget the word, but they've made a base or they've made a town. I hope there's going to be some smaller towns or cities in addition to like our big ones, right? Like Neon and New Atlantis and Aquila City. Cool. Frank the Tank. Let's see. Hey. Sorry, Frank the Tank. Sorry this was a weird one. But yeah, we were trying something a little different. We're trying something a little different tonight. I appreciate the feedback. In all sincerity, let me know if hey, this kind of presenting something that was going to be a video, if this worked, if it didn't work, or if you just think the idea is just stupid. But maybe try this this format again with something that's a bit more concrete. I'm fine with that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I totally get it. All right. Let's see. Do we get all of our super chats? Okay. We did. Thank you guys very much. Let's see. Come back just a little bit here. Get back into the chat. And so let's talk just for a second. So I feel like you guys are kind of over this theory, and so maybe I don't even need to give you kind of what I'm speculating as to what will be the solution to this then. But just so I don't know, being I don't know, not transparent, just so I'm kind of giving you all the things rattling around in my mind. If they do this kind of limiting area space, what happens when you get to the end of that limited area? Some of our producers had a lot of good ideas. I want to go through some of those. So a lot of them mentioned that, maybe there's some environmental hazards that will create these artificial boundaries that, hey, this space out here is not safe. If you continue walking out here, it's going to, as opposed to just giving you a warning sign, a hey, return to the playable map area, it's going to slowly give you radiation poisoning, or it's going to slowly burn your health away some way. Other people mentioned, I think I saw this in the chat as well, I'm not sure who said it, so I apologize, but one of our producers mentioned that one of the reasons they may have not included vehicles was due to how that, if you're traveling faster along the planet and you're trying to load in all of that procedurally generated content or even handcrafted content, that would tax your system too hard, too fast, and essentially bottleneck it, and then there's going to be lots of stuttering, lots of glitching, and so they didn't want to do vehicles to kind of limit your traversal speed to essentially make sure that generation is consistent as it goes. I thought that was a fair insight that they had. Let's see. And someone else mentioned about maybe there's a mechanic with your oxygen levels. I know it usually plays like your stamina or your endurance level, but they mentioned maybe if you go past a certain point, from your ship, that you have to go back and recharge your oxygen. Just one of the things. And there's a few other things. It just kind of mentioned that there seems to be some soft limits, to kind of check you and kind of make sure that you're leveling up your gear and you're kind of leaning into those RPG mechanics. But they also didn't think that there would be any kind of hard limits like I'm suggesting there is from what I've seen. So a really good conversation with our producers there. Okay, get back to the chat here. All right, multiverse possibility. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know about that. See, oxygen and stamina. That's right. Yeah, your oxygen and CO2 meters. If you Bagboy65 said, if you go to the edge of a planet, you are sent to Redfall. We don't want to do that. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Witchblade said, I have a question for you about your opinion. What do you think about art book of Starfield and real game? Compare these two are much more different image to the game and book. Yeah, I had mentioned that maybe a few months ago when critiquing what we saw of New Atlantis, specifically in the June 2022 showcase. That city seemed very limited and small and not a lot going on, not very dynamic, as opposed to the art in the artwork that we've seen, the concept art that we've seen from the different videos. However, I do not feel that way after seeing what they did with New Atlantis in this newest, most recent Starfield Direct. I thought they did a great job of kind of showing some similar shots with a bit more kind of grandeur, but also showing some of those kind of smaller parts, right? Like the coffee shop and there was a memorial there, and there was like some people just hanging out. So I thought they did a good job of kind of showing those small in-between parts, telling those small stories, as I said. That was really good, so I enjoyed that. Gary said, I'm going to play using a new PC, so hopefully I can get 60 FPS. Will that be the case? I have no idea, Gary, but I hope it runs at 120 for you, man. I know PC players are going to have a lot of fun with Starfield for sure. I'm going to have a lot of fun, too, as a console player. See, Mango said, if you die, then you wake up in the beginning of Skyrim. Right, I've seen that going around quite a bit. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Connor said again, Starfield Signal, the live theory crafting is fine, but the clickbait is kind of rough. I don't think it's clickbait, though. Like, if I didn't believe that, I think it would be clickbait. But I feel like whenever I make my titles like very kind of matter of fact, people think they're clickbait. All right, yeah, absolutely, Witchblade. All right, Seth said, LOL, you may get to the edge and you enter a quantum superposition state where you're everywhere and nowhere all at once. That would be amazing. You know what? I mean, that kind of, Seth, that kind of seems to go along with the theme that we've seen with the different gravity things that are going on and time, possibly. Lots of cool things. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. See, Christian, yeah, absolutely, man. Let's see, M1 Grand said they will likely be cohesive, like each landing zone and landing tile will all be cohesive, like one action on one tile will affect other tiles, but I believe they are all separated. Okay, interesting. Just type theory in caps into your titles. Okay, that's fair. I'll do that. That's fair. I'll do that after we get through with the stream. I'll change that title to theory. That's fine. Do you know if this will be added onto in a like series for games, for example, like the Oblivion and Skyrim games? Yeah, like you mean like Oblivion and Skyrim are a part of the Elder Scrolls series? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Fallout is a part of a series as well. It's not necessarily named, subtitled, named anything different. Fallout 3, 4, 5 eventually. But I think Starfield, we don't have any kind of like subtitle for it yet, at least what they've revealed. That would be interesting if they did. But I imagine their main focus right now is supporting this game for as long as they can, which means building a community around it, building an economy within it with mods and other things. So I think they're going to support this game for quite a while. I think there will eventually be a Starfield 2. If they call it that, who knows? Could be Starfield New Moons or Starfield Andromeda. Hopefully not. I don't know. Maybe it won't be too soon at that point. Maybe Mass Effect can get their stuff together by Starfield 2's time. Let's see. Had another super chat come through. I want to make sure I didn't miss any more. Jet Rico super chatted 125 of something. It doesn't tell me what that is. I apologize, but thank you so much for that. In my opinion, no hard bounds. Awesome. If you can land anywhere, what stops you from taking off and landing at the place where the bounds were earlier? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good. Let's see. Space Monkey, another channel member, says distance limit could be enforced by having to stay in comms link to your ship. That's a good idea. Move too far away and you get a comms failure warning, return to ship. That would be interesting. That would be a much more like natural way to kind of limit your movement there. Very interesting, Space Monkey. Thank you for sharing that. Defeat the game with poison sandwiches. All right. People still complain about clickbait. Okay. Just going through chat here. All right. Xcomer, ZZZ. Maybe they spaced it out so you run out of O2 and die if you go too far. Right. Lots of different ones. Okay. Cool. I think we're kind of I think chat is kind of wrapping up. Not seeing really anything new here. Gary, new super chat coming in. Wow, thank you so much. Let's see. He said, I love your analysis and that you also recognize what is unknown at this point. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very kind of you. Yeah, I definitely want to, I like coming to my videos with maybe, let's talk about this for a second. Okay. Let's have just a conversation. Let's see, make sure all this is on. Thank you again, Gary. So I like all of you, I do not like clickbait. It is an unfortunate part of the YouTube game, if you will. That doesn't excuse it. I try to come at all of my videos with typically either a very thorough perspective or a very bold perspective. And again, I said this earlier in the stream, I don't claim to be the smartest guy out here doing this. I don't claim to be the cleverest or the most engaging or the most entertaining. I'm just me. I'm just a guy who loves Starfield and created a bunch of videos and people watch them. That's all I am. Nothing more than that. And I find that in my personality, I am very much the kind of person who doesn't. I'm very nuanced. I can typically see both sides of a conversation or both sides of an argument. Excuse me. And again, I'm the kind of person that really has a lot of disdain for the this is insane, or, we got to talk about this, or can you believe that this happened? These big, superlatives, these just making things crazy whenever they're not crazy. I think I even maybe titled one of my videos like, this is actually not insane. This is very mild. I may have changed the title on that later, but I get it. I get it. I'm with you. But that said, I do try to make my videos titled something that evokes some sort of emotion. I don't want to mislead you ever. Anytime you see a title that, I want it to be like, hey, this is news, or, we found something out, and it's always going to be, exactly what I'm saying. I can't even remember what it was, but there was something recently where one of my videos, some people complained about, clickbait, and it was literally like the most, boring, matter-of-fact title that I could think of for it. I don't even remember what it was now, because I just go on. I just put it out of my mind. And so, everyone has different, I don't know, measurements for that, and I get that, and I don't fault you for that. I don't judge you for that. If if my style of titling and thumbnailing and my style of expositing whatever I'm thinking, whatever is in my head, then there are lots of other great Starfield content creators out there. I think what most people are drawn to me for is like a typical thoughtfulness, and I'm not perfect. I've probably made some that weren't quite as thoughtful, or maybe jumping on a bandwagon here and there, but most of the time I really try to be thoughtful about that, because if you guys are going to click on, not even my face, I don't include my face on the thumbnails, but if you're going to click on one of my videos, I want you to kind of have a really good expectation of what you're going to get, what you're going to spend your time on, and know if it's worth, because you could scroll on down one or two flips and probably see something else. So I get it, absolutely. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. If you're mad at me, I'm not mad at you. I get it. Okay, let's see. Witchblade said, can we walk or run the whole planet with no restriction walls, or is there a limit that we go little too far and it'll force you to travel back to your ship and then leave and go to other area? Yes, that's essentially my argument. Absolutely. And I'm not going to rehash it now, but that's the case that I'm making. That's the conclusion that I've come to now. Again, I hope that I'm wrong. I don't like this, but at the same time, I realize that this will probably not affect my playthrough much, like a minute amount. It will affect probably not even my enjoyment of the game, because I can just okay, they decided something different. That wasn't my decision. I'm still going to love their game because of everything else they're putting in it. I'm not the kind of person that gets 99 awesome things and complains about the 100th one that wasn't exactly to my liking. I am going to be very, very happy with whatever they put into Starfield. But yes, that is exactly what I'm thinking. Okay, let's see. Seth said, I think in a recent interview, Todd said that wasn't actually the case, that they helped in other areas. I might be misremembering. You may be referring to id Software, maybe? He did mention that about id Software, how they did not help with the combat, but they did help with the graphics. Specifically, he stated motion blur to kind of make it feel fluid and dynamic and make the combat feel better. So it wasn't specifically combat, but that led to combat feeling good. See just a few more people on here. I want to get their questions in. RPG RX, good to see you, my friend. Hoping to connect with you soon. What are your thoughts about needing to prepare to visit certain planets, as implied by Todd in the newest interview? Sorry if I was... Nope, it wasn't. Absolutely, yeah. I think there are going to be some planets that have... I imagine there's going to be some planets that have restrictions on, if your spaceship can even land there, right? You may have to have some sort of upgraded landing gear to even land on the terrain. And I think more to your point, I think there are going to be some planets that have hazardous environments, and you're going to have to upgrade your suit or do something to research upgrading your oxygen tank, something like that, to to filter out some sort of poisonous gas. I definitely think there will be some of those RPG mechanics in here. Good question, RPG RX. And I'll say it now, if anyone hasn't seen RPG RX's videos, he has a couple up now. You can just search in YouTube, RPG RX, and he has a couple of really great, thoughtful videos on Starfield. He comes at it from the perspective of kind of chemistry and biology and from a pharmacist standpoint, hence the RX. And so check him out. He has some great videos. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys who are still on here. Seth L said some of these planets have water on them. What do you think the limits of those will be? We can't fish. We know that. But Neon is supposed to be smack dab in the middle of a body of water. No? Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying yes. No, yes. Anyway, yeah, I really, before the Starfield Direct, I had really hoped that there would be some underwater environments that we could explore, maybe even underwater towns. I think that would be really cool. I don't feel like we're getting it, though. That's just like we didn't see it in the Direct, so it's probably not going to happen. There's no basis other than, probably not. But who knows? That could be an expansion or a DLC, or I don't know. That seems like a very big thing to mod. One thing that I think is funny is that, like, any time people have an idea like, oh, this could be in the game, people are like, oh, it'll be modded within a week. I don't think that's how modding works. I don't know, but it seems that people just kind of assume that, oh, anything you think of and want, you could mod into the game. And it's a game engine. It has its limitations, and also, like, just what people are interested in. Their modding teams are probably going to make first. So anyway, who knows? Jim said, "Oh, that's not nice, Jim." Yeah, we don't want to hate anyone. All right, build a sub. That would be good. All right. Well, hey, let me come out here. We are going to. How long have we been going now? Oh my gosh, about an hour and a half. Whew. Thank you guys for joining me and for hanging out. Thank you for the critique and the feedback on this. I think a lot of that is really intelligent, really sharp. I get it why a lot of people disagree with me. I hope that I'm wrong. I didn't see, I haven't seen enough information yet to kind of make me retract this conclusion that I've come to. But I hope I do. So here's what we can do. If you are a part of our Discord, I would love for you to head over there. I'm going to make a forum for this topic, this theory, and I would love for you to hop in there into that forum. Send me links, send me timestamps, send me your ideas of kind of how you've integrated all this information together, because it's a lot, right? And I would love to keep that conversation going over there. So if you are not on our Discord, there should be a link in the description to this video. If not, just go to my community tab posts, and there are probably several posts in there that have our Discord link in there that you could use. I know a lot of people saying they just got here. I've been talking for an hour and a half. I feel like I'm saying the same thing, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know you guys can just click off whenever you want to, but anyway, I'm just thinking about that. But yeah, you guys have been awesome. Yeah, he is open in the Friedman interview. But yeah, let's keep this conversation going over on Discord. Again, link is in the description to our Discord. If you can't find it there, then go to our community tab post. And also, if you're a fan of the channel, so like everyone else, click away or whatever. I don't want this to be like a feel salesy, but if you want any merch, I just decreased pretty much every single thing, all the prices on all of our merch. So if you want a shirt, if you want a mug, if you want a watch band, if you want a desk mat, lots of other stuff on there too. Head over there. I just decreased the prices on our YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel page and then the store tab, and you can see everything there. We also have some custom artwork that is really great that one of our community members made for us. I would love for you to check that out. But yeah, so not to make it too salesy, but like if you wanted merch, prices just decreased, so that's a good thing. You guys are awesome. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you all for being patient with me as I kind of get through this and kind of work through the criticism and the feedback. I honestly do appreciate it. I don't want to be bullheaded or Starfield Signal underwear. Then that's in the black market part. Not quite yet, Seth. Glow in the dark. Maybe we'll have some glow in the dark underwear at some point. But yeah, I hope this was enjoyable. Let me know if you like this kind of format. I don't do a lot of live streaming. I probably will start doing more once the game comes out. Once Starfield is released, I'll try to set up a schedule. I have a family and 2 small children, and so sometimes our schedule isn't quite set as much as I would like for it to be. But hey, Janik Ron, I do have smartphone case for iPhone there. I'm not sure if it gives me the option to make one for Samsung. I think because there are so many different versions, but I'll double check for sure. Sorry, I keep getting like pulled down into the chat. You guys are so interesting. But yes, if you would like the video, if you have seen kind of what you've seen here and you want to subscribe, we would love for you to consider doing that. We honestly try to stay like super positive and super excited here. This is maybe one of the most negative videos I've made, and I really don't want it to feel negative. It's more of just kind of like, hey, this is something that I've seen. I'm a little worried about it, but it's not a big deal kind of vibe. I don't know. That seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. But I'm a human, and humans are complex and complicated, and we don't make sense sometimes. And so, I'm just a human, just like us, just like you, just like us. See, I'm talking crazy now. Anyway, the thing I need to say now is, for now, may you find wonder as you journey through the stars. Thank you all for joining me. I am going to leave the chat open for just a few minutes. I'm going to put on some nice music for you. So feel free to hang out, discourse. Head over to the Discord here in a few minutes after I get that forum up and keep the conversation going. You all are awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh,